אנשים טובים, אנשים טובים, ברוכים הבאים לערוץ הקטן שלי. היום, today we are on a construction site. Again, second time we're on a construction site, and this is part 2 of Israelites and Israelite types on construction sites, all right? And I'm going to talk to a couple of brothers about their observance of Sukkot or tabernacles, okay? And get their perspective. Multiple perspectives is a great thing. It's a good thing. It helps us learn about each other and also how to strengthen and enhance our faith. So on this construction site, we're building. Uh-oh. Hope he's not in the witness protection program, because he's in my video now. All right, so, hey, today we're coming back, and I'm going to talk to a couple of my good friends, my dear friends, my dear brothers here. So, here on my left is Dave Alton, all right? His first name is Dave, so that means we already hit it off completely. You know this character, Mark, from the last video, all right? And I'm going to ask each one of these brothers about their Sukkot experience. What made it special? What did they learn from it, if anything new, or any other thing that they might want to share? So I'm going to start with my new brother Dave here. And Dave, tell us a little bit about your Sukkot, where it is, your tabernacles, where it is, how far you had to travel, and a little bit about your affiliation, denominational-wise, faith-wise, or whatever, and anything else on your heart that you might want to throw out there.
Yeah. This year we all met in the southern part of Utah. We had one feast site this year, and it's always a real good time because we get to see a lot of folks that we only see that one time a year because we're a scattered group. And so it's nice to all get together and to see and get reacquainted and enjoy the messages together and spend a lot of family time together. And so, we had our Feast of Tabernacles and last great day all together at a meeting hall in Utah. I know I had told Dave at one point there was a couple of messages that were kind of struck a chord, and based on Romans 8:18, what we go through today, as it won't be compared to how it will be in the future.
Yes.
And harmony and peace, and so, and to us, the feast represents that millennial reign where we will have all that with Christ is ruling.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, very fun. And another aspect of Dave's Sukkot experience that I really enjoy is the fact that it's a lot of families, it's a lot of repeat people. So even though the function moves, right, a lot of the same people get to reunite and see each other again. So not only is it being obedient and having a joyous time keeping the feast, but it's also getting to see family and loved ones again. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't get to see them.
Yeah, right. It's only at those times because we're so scattered across the United States, these kind of little satellite groups. And so a lot of times it's only at the feast that we'll get to see other than the local brethren. So it's a real nice reunion each year. And they do a lot of family activities there. After services, they schedule a lot of activities where we can all congregate and catch up.
Schmooze a little bit,
huh?
Right. Yeah, awesome. Well, let's check with this character. You guys remember this guy, Mark McGee. Tell us about your Sukkot experience, Mr. McGee, and if there's anything new that you learned or anything that you want to share or whatever, just don't be scared. Spit it out there. They won't hurt you. Trust me.
All right. Brother Mark, and my name is Brother Mark McGee, and I just wanted to share a few things. I won't be too long, David.
Oh, yeah.
I would say this Sukkot experience was lovely because I had a great time going there with my son and my wife and my daughter, and we had a great time there at the Lake Collins camping grounds. What made this experience so awesome is the fact that we had a chance to pitch a tent and sleep out there and just enjoy the nature and see what it's like to be out there, just like Moses and the patriarchs had to camp out too, and just kind of get a feel for it. They didn't have sleeping bags and air mattresses. I'm just trying to as I was laying there, and I was just trying to imagine what it had been for them, and that's just kind of reflecting on the scriptures as I'm laying down, looking up at the stars. But I just also want to say that this is like my third Sukkot experience, because getting into the Torah, it started from this observing the Sabbath and other things, but then eventually I started getting a hold to experiencing the feast of the Lord. So the first time I experienced the first year, it was at home. We just built. We did our best. We built something in the home, and we slept under something. We tried to make
trying to make a kosher sukkah.
And then that was the first time. The second year, I went in my backyard and we pitched a tent. And my son and I, we just slept out there, and we was laying right on the ground. We had no sleeping. Well, we didn't have an air mattress on.
How old is your kid?
He is 12.
Okay, and isn't he into survival?
Yes.
Okay.
Survival.
Right.
Yeah, he's into the camping, hiking. He likes stuff like that. Survival. He has. He's into, he's on YouTube looking at survival techniques and stuff like that. So this actually ties into his interests already. But since this is the third year, the only thing that changed was that we went to a camping ground. We pitched a tent, and we had some kosher marshmallows. We couldn't light a bonfire because it was some restrictions there. I bet you at your campsite they'll let you do that. But, so getting straight to the point, basically, I'm looking forward to another Sukkot, and I'm looking for some more experiences, and I want to just try to experience it to the fullest. I know you experienced it to the fullest.
Oh yeah. I went to, as a matter of fact, a place down south of Fresno, small town called Orosi, on a farm. This is more of a Hebrew roots type of setup. But the guy, he owns the farm. He has all this land. He has grapevines. He's got pomegranate trees. He's got all of that. And this guy's program is called GIT, Growing in Torah. And he actually has a program where he brings people's kids onto the land, right? And they teach them, the staff teach the kids about the agriculture and how to grow things, X, Y, and Z. And unless you've been living under a rock, the Bible, the Torah itself, is steeped in agriculture, the entire story, right? Seed falls to the ground, and unless it dies, it doesn't bear fruit, and on and on and on. So it makes the lesson a whole lot easier to the young minds to grasp this. Now, my brother Dave said something. Both of these guys said something that struck a bell. Dave keeps using the word dispersed. Okay, dispersed. Nidachot is the word dispersed. And of course, we know that the people of the Most High are scattered all over the earth. We look a lot of different ways, whether we're talking about literal physical Israel or whether we're talking about Israel through the promise of Abraham. Still Israel nonetheless. And McGee mentioned here, looking up through his makeshift tent or sukkah up at the stars, which again is one of the requirements. You're supposed to leave a little bit open so you can look up and you see the stars. Why? Because you look up and you see the majestic timepiece that the Creator put in the heavens, and it reminds you that just like in that sukkah, it's a temporary building, not meant to be for forever. But we all know, of course, also in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, that we have promise of moving into a sukkah that's built without hands, that's eternal in the heaven. When this one fails us, that we have a body coming in the heaven. And then also, of course, my brother Dave mentioned the great day, the last great day, Hoshana Rabbah, the great day, or the 8th day of the feast. Again, where you have to get the imagery in your head, again, of City of David, bringing the water up in golden vessels, intermingling it with wine and pouring it across the horns of the altar, letting it flow down the steps. And again, the people of Israel will shout with a loud voice of joy because they're celebrating and they're screaming out, Hoshiana or Hosanna, Hoshiana. They're yelling this out and screaming this. And this is the time in earnest where Israel would pray for rain for their crops. So again, as we had mentioned before, at the height of this festivity, the Messiah, Yeshua, steps out right when the people are getting ready to yell and shout, and he screams out above the rest of the people, whoever is thirsty, come to me and let him drink. And he's echoing Isaiah chapter 55. So I just wanted to come on again. This is like a part 2 because we had Mark on part 1. But this is like a part 2 of this. Come on over here, Mr. McGee. And this is like a part 2. I called it, Dave, you weren't aware, I called it Israelites and Israelite types on construction sites, right? And I think it fits very good. So the reason why I have, very importantly, the 3 of us standing here is if you look from my brother here, to Mark over here, and you think about the imagery in the book of Revelation, it talks about the fact that there is a great crowd or multitude which no man could number standing in front of the throne. They're all dressed in white, which is what's worn on Sukkot, and they all have a big branch from a date palm tree in their hands, and they're giving praise to the Most High and to the Lamb who was slain before the foundation of the earth. What's significant? It says no man could number the crowd, but they were diverse in language, kindred, nation, and tongue, which means there will be Ashkenazi Jewish people standing before the throne. There will be Latinos standing before the throne. There will be Native Americans standing before the throne. They'll be everywhere. So you have to get the picture and realize that we have to unify as believers in Messiah. We don't have to believe absolutely every single thing, but at least if we can find the common ground that we all share Yeshua, okay, we know what he did, the selfless sacrifice that he made in giving his life and knowing that we have access to the Creator because of his deeds. So thank you again, brothers, so much for this, because this is actually like a take 2 because somebody forgot to put the microphone all the way in. But this is the crowd that will be before the throne. I hope you'll join us. So until the next time, I'll see you guys all again soon. Thank you again, brother, so much. And thank you, McGee, so much for giving me your time. All right, I'll see you guys soon.